YTKingDream is notorious for his very good looking thumbnails, and that makes them very clickable. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how YTKingDream makes his thumbnails and how to get it just as good. A quick breakdown of this thumbnail I made specifically. So it may seem like one flat image, but it actually is made of many different components. And this is key because obviously it is really hard to get an action photo like this. So what I did was, these are different images, the name tag and everything, and as you can see right here, even the background right here. And I'm going to show you exactly how to get these blur effects, and Photopia.com. It's an online photo editor, and so we can go to new project, YouTube thumbnail, and create. Now in here we need to get our different components, so let me grab. So first we have our main player, then we have the sword he will be holding, and then we got the foreground. So this is the place that this is where all the action is. So let's place it right here. Okay, so now we have like a nice background. You want it to be nice, you want it to be green, or for whatever you want. And now our player, you want him to be not too big but not too small, coming running at him. And so what I did here was, actually I wanted it to all be blurred so it mostly focuses on my player right here. So I made a lasso right here, and I selected this area right here of this layer. I made a copy, so as you can see right here, I can go to filter, blur, and I do motion blur, and you can set it to anything you want. But as you can see, the ground right here of what I selected is not blurred, and that's pretty cool. So now we have our player, and then him holding a sword. You can make that whatever size you want, and you can turn it. So that's here. Here we have our first main layout of the player. So now we get our next components. So what I have here is this is what I want to be in the background that's white right here. So I'm gonna kind of make it so it looks good right there, so it fits. And then I'll just bring the layer right here behind it. And as you can see, it's behind. Now we also want to give that a blur. And we go to blur and motion blur, and then we can blur it like so. So now we got a little action going on here. And so now what I'd like to show you is if we have an image like this. So this is how I take these action images. I have a green screen. So if you have an image like this, you want to go to background remover, and I like this app. Now you go to upload image, and this works for any type of image. And I'm going to pick this image, and it will remove the background, leaving just the player as you go. And then you can download it and drag it into Photopia and delete this. So now we can resize this player, and since we want it to be pretty proportionate, so we'll put it next to our character, make it around up to there because it's in the foreground. So there we go. And then now we can drag it over here, and there we go. So now right now we have this, but it does look very plain, so we want to leave room for some name tags. Put it here, and we move our sword back to his hand, and we want to make this player also smaller. There we go. Okay, so now we have room for cooler stuff. We could do. So what I like to do before I put the name tags is I like to click on the foreground right here and shift, and also click on this. So now we selected both. We go to filter, render, and this is the key to a YTKingDream thumbnail and lens flare. So this now, as you can see right here, we can change the position like so, and the brightness. I'll go like that, and so now we got a nice little foreground. So now what I like to do is the name tags, and this is very easy. So if you want a simple name tag, you can just make a black box and then change the opacity to something like that. But if you want it to look like it has some depth or it's turned away, this is pretty complicated. I'll show you a timeline for when to fast forward if you don't want to know this. But you can go over to here, right click, and click rasterize. After doing so, you can click back on the object and do Control T, or if you're on a MacBook, Command T. And so now we're in editing mode. Now you can just click on this and go to perspective, and now you can change the perspective, like if it's turned like this, and that's what I like to do. So now it looks like it is turned away facing this player and not us. But you don't have to do that again. That's optional, and I prefer to only do it when I really want it to stand out. But for this thumbnail, I didn't really do it that much. So now for the text, I'll show you how to make a glowing text. So I uploaded, you can find fonts that you can download. So I downloaded a font and uploaded it. You can load font, a Minecraft font. So I like this font. We can do white colored and just any size. And you click right there and we can go, let's say tier HT1. Obviously that's too big. We can make it as small as we want. There we go. And as you can see right there, but now we want it to glow. So you right click on the layer on the sidebar right here, blending options. And now what we can do is drop shadow. Now this will normally just give us a shadow, but if we turn the opacity all the way up to 100, distance all the way down to 0, and spread to whatever spread we want of the glow, as you can see it moves up and down right there, whatever you want, and then you can just turn this to white. And I like to give this a normal so it actually stands out, and it's a bit too much of a glow there. And then we can just do a stroke so it stands out. It gives it a black border for the text, and there you go, it glows. So we can do that, and copy and paste the layer and do that over here as well. And so that's practically it. But what you want, if you want to make it look more appealing, which is what I did, is you go to this button right here and you can change the saturation and all that. That gives it makes it more clickable. If you turn up the saturation, it makes it more colorful and better looking. And then you can also change up the lightness. I like to turn down the saturation down to here so it looks more of an intense PvP battle. And what I also like to do is go to brightness and contrast, turn up that contrast just a little bit, and turn up that brightness. And then there we go. It's a nice looking thumbnail, but obviously this is optional and you can just go to this. And it does kind of look like my old thumbnail, except I did do shadows right here. I'll show you. That's really simple. You just duplicate this and then you make a satin, which is when you right click here and you can turn the opacity all the way up so it looks dark like a shadow. And then you can turn the opacity all the way down to a shadow. Make that smaller, turn it, and there you go, it looks like a shadow. Now obviously I made it a little bit distorted like this. That's a bit more complicated. Again, I will show you though. Turn the opacity down. I will show you right now. So it's the same thing. You click on this, rasterize, then you go in here, Command T for MacBook or Control T for any other device, and then you right click on this, go to perspective, and you can like warp this to whatever you want for a shadow. and you can make it look like so. And then what I like to do is give it a bit of a motion blur. So again, we can go to blur, motion blur, and turn that up so it is very, look, you can see it blurs. And basically that's it, and that's really what I did. And I put one here too. And yeah, so that's basically just how you make a simple thumbnail, and it kind of does look like YTKingDream style. But if you want to know how to make specifically any of his videos, again, you can comment. Alright guys, see ya.